Now, 4 centuries from the discovery of America, at the end of 100 years of life under the Constitution, the frontier has gone. And with its going is closed the first period of American history. Frederick Jackson Turner. Known as the historian of the West, Turner wrote the essay Significance of the Frontier in American History, explaining the importance of the American frontier on American society, arguing that the frontier had meant that every American generation returned to primitive conditions on a continually advancing frontier line, describing it as the meeting point between savagery and civilization. Every time Americans ventured into the frontier, they would go through the same rotation of development stages. Begins with the Indian and the hunter. It goes on with the disintegration of savagery by the entrance of the trader, the pastoral stage in ranch life, the exploitation of the soil by raising of unrotated crops of corn and wheat in sparsely settled farm communities, the intensive culture of the denser farm settlement, and finally, the manufacturing organization with the city and the factory system. Claimed, the frontier is the line of most rapid Americanization. Every claim, found Turner's essay, is seeing the development of the West. Before settlers expanded to the western United States, the West consisted of many different tribes of Indians. Many of the natives welcomed the whites with open hands and traded with them. Both benefited from the trading between them, which allowed for peace. The Indians began to adopt parts of the white culture, such as clothing and weapons. More and more settlers began moving into the Americans, forcing the natives to move farther and farther west. After years of the whites being confined to the East Coast, they broke through the Appalachians and thrived in the plains. Huge amounts of settlers moved farther west to raise cattle and make a profit, which led to the rise of the cowboy. The cowboys were their own breed and did not want to be a part of the normal society. With gold being found in California, came a new expansion of America. The gold rush attracted huge amounts of settlers. So came boom towns and huge amounts of profits for very few. The boom towns had everything that a normal town had, but were built so quickly that it seemed they were showing up overnight. With the growth of the West came the government calling of building a transcontinental railroad. It took a huge amount of workers to build the railroad, and many of those workers lost their lives attempting to transform America. The railroad connected the East and the West, allowing for more settlement of the plains and the West. The Americans could reach the West Coast in just a few days, instead of having to take wagons and walking the whole way. With the increase of settlement came the loss of more Native American land. The natives were forced into reservations, facing poverty and starvation. They were forced to adopt white culture and change their way of life. With the settlement of the West came the closing of the frontier in the West. The chance of new lives for settlers was gone, and the era of the fastest Americanization was gone. The first era of America was over.